panel is a bit late starting, but technical difficulties. But I do have backups. This panel is about Lolita fashion, and it is a alternative fashion style that originates from Japan. So raise your hand if any of you are familiar with the fashion. Good, there's quite a few of you. But I will have to start off with all the things all of us in the fashion have to do, which is the fashion has nothing to do with the book or film Lolita. Just happens to just share the same name. And because of that, on social media, if you want to look up the fashion, you have to put EGL Fashion. Because otherwise it will come up, this is inappropriate thing you're looking for. Now, some people ask me, what is Lolita fashion? And the best I can put it is amazing clothes that make you feel empowered. A lot of its style influences are Rococo and Victorian, but you'll also find Edwardian elements in some pieces, like in classic and Gothic styles of the fashion. Thank goodness that thing's gone off. But the main fashion a lot of people think of when they hear Lolita fashion or EGL fashion is Sweet Lolita, because of its pastel colors and designs that are more sweets, cakes, and toys with its prints. And it's a lot more pastel in color. But there's a side version of it called Bittersweet, where you have the mixture of the pastel colors with black. So you'll find bats that are really cute, but with like pastel purples and blues. You also have Gothic Lolita fashion, which is mostly black, but there's also forms that are in white, and some in a signature shade of blue from the brand Moitié, which was created by a singer from the group Malice Miser. And a couple of weeks ago, I was just at a Lolita fashion event in Manchester, where there was also the brand Atelier Pierrot, showing both Gothic and Gothic with elements of circus in its prints, as well as the Korean brand Hanuli, where they're showing both the dress I am wearing, but also ones that have more like classical artwork and tails in the print. Like one called Joan of Arc, where a lot of the dress looked like actual armor, but it's actually printed on the fabric. The fashion is growing, with the more people looking into it, but we still get mistaken for cosplay due to characters like Lizzie from Black Butler, characters from RE0, and other series as well. And there have actually been crossovers between anime and Lolita brands. Like with, for example, Baby Starshine Bright has done both Super Mario as a collection to celebrate its anniversary, as well as for Cardcaptor Sakura. And Moitié has also done a Hatsune Miku collab based on one of the ball-jointed dolls. So you'll find bits that are crossovers, but also bits that are just clearly just the fashion. And you have two different styles of dress. You have OP, where it's long sleeve attached to the dress, and the style type I mostly wear, which is JSK, which stands for jumper skirt, which gives the option to wear different style blouses with your dress, but some, even when it's hot, will go without a blouse. A lot of the time as well, there's signature shapes for each style. I mostly go for the full typical old school cupcake shape, and a lot of that is mostly because of the summer with heat. It helps get more air there so you're not overheating, which helps when you're having to walk around in hot weather, but also helps showcase with some dresses the artwork that's on the dress itself. So you're not like, oh, what print's that? Especially when it's like classic artwork on the dresses, like in classic Lolita, where you see a lot of traditional artwork and motifs within the dresses, as well as muted colors in that style. You also have different options with accessories. So you have options of knee-high socks or tights, You also have the option of different types of headwear, from head bows of different styles, even bonnets, and even tiaras, and some people even use flower crowns. And there's also different styles of wrist cuffs, like the ones I'm wearing that are solid, that a friend of mine made for me. You also have ones that are just full mesh, so it's just all the lace, which people try and team up the pattern in the lace with what's on their dress. So it's like, if your lace has roses in, people will match it up to other accessories that have roses. And this fashion actually has no gender. So no matter what your gender is, you can wear the dresses, or you can even wear the male, well, one that people tend to call the male version, which is OG fashion. And the best way I can describe OG fashion is if you look at CL from Black Butler, a lot of his clothing is OG in inspiration. But then they added a lot more Victorian on top of that because of the time period it's set in. The fashion can get quite warm, even the lightest of fabrics. And you also find, even if you feel like it's not you in the fashion, you will find a style that does suit you. Like when I started, I thought, oh, I'll never suit it because of my size. When I first saw the fashion, I was 16, and Film 4 was showing the film Kamikaze Girls, which showed a girl who loved the fashion, and she felt even more empowered in herself. And since I've worn that fashion, because I started wearing it just before the first UK lockdowns of COVID, I started feeling more how I wanted to be. So it's a lot of the times of, it's what younger you always wanted you to wear, and you feel more empowered for doing so. You also have, in this fashion, different lengths of skirts. So you have ones this length that are just above the knee. You also have some that are slightly shorter as well. You also get ones that can reach down to your ankles, which I've seen a lot in both Hime, which is Princess Lolita, and also in Classical Lolita. And the fashion has evolved to include elements of punk and rock in it, as well as geekdom. So you'll find some designers will have like game controllers in the artwork on the dress, and some will even have like D20s from D&D on it. But it's like, no matter what taste of fashion you have, there is a version of Lolita that's in that style. So, are there any questions? Yes, what is your question?
How much does it cost? Like, just for like one outfit?
Okay, cost. This will shock a lot of you. Because it all falls down to where you get it. If you get from the top brands people think of for their fashion, like Baby Star Shine Bright, Angelic Pretty, Moi Moi Motier, and Atelier Pierrot, you're paying sometimes through the nose. But there's some brands like, for example, Bodyline, which the blouse on my mannequin is from. Lovers in Fashion dub it the Primark of Lolita, because it's really inexpensive. I think when I got that blouse while in Japan, it was around about UK pounds £13 because of a sale that was on. But then you also have sellers on Etsy, like Maz's Boutique, who made this chocolate dress for me, which saved me from a dress nightmare. And with hers, that one was around 160. And the dress I am wearing, I bought directly from a designer while at an event, was 230, just for the dress alone. So a lot of people tend to save up for the dress, but then we'll go to places like car boot sales, charity shops for blouses, tights, and footwear, just to help with costs of it all, as well as making their own. Are there any more questions? Yes, what is your question?
What are some of the better brands to buy from for like plus size Lolitas?
Okay, for plus size, the sizing has improved a lot over the years. So like with Hanuli, this dress is in one of their 2XL to 3XLs. and is super stretchy. You also have brands like Metamorphose, who do both plus size and a range called plus size, which are exclusive to international buyers. And they even have shoes where they have a pair of platforms that say, these fit wider than our normal shoes. Because there's no Japanese word for, this is wide fit. And the blouse up here I bought was a little small, but it was easy for me to buy a men's shirt, cut away the bits here, and sew them on to expand it. So there's lots of options out there, even on Etsy. Because on Etsy you can message the designers who sell Lolita through their Instagram or their Facebook with whatever measurements you have, and they'll tell you this is how much it's going to be, and this is approximately like what colors I have available. It's like with Maz, I'll send her my measurements. If I'm not sure what I like, I'll be like, what do you recommend? And she'll give me several choices of fabric. If she can't get one I chose, she's like, okay, can't get that one, here's something I can get that's similar to what you're after. So it all depends on where you go, really. But there's some where it's like, they say they're plus size. It's Japanese plus size, which equates around a UK size 16 to 18. But more than that, it's like Metamorphose and other brands. So a lot of it's just like looking up on a website called Lolita Berry, where it's all categories that include like, you'll search up, for example, Baby the Star Shine Bright Honey Cake, and it'll come up with what the max sizing on that dress is. So it helps with a lot of headache. And what was your question at the back?
What are your favorite Lolita brands, and do you have any like cheap or like budget brands that you like prefer to buy from?
My favorite brands, I have to say, are Hanuli, especially with a collection they have that's very Sailor Moon inspired, that they got in trouble with. With Hanuli, once they sell out of a print, they very rarely remake it. And my other two favorite brands are Baby the Star Shine Bright, purely because that was the first Lolita brand I heard of because of Kamikaze Girls. And I also really enjoyed Metamorphose, because they do a whole range and they have lots of size options as well. And their staff, while me and my husband were in Japan, were so friendly and helpful. We're like, will this be a wide foot? And they're like, yes, with their platform shoe that I bought. And for cheaper brands, I tend to look on Etsy for things like Fluttertail, Maz's Boutique. But then there's also the option website called Lace Market, which is the second-hand eBay of Lolita fashion. But the only downside with that website, well, couple downsides, is one, it could take ages for your account to be verified by the admins. And there's some places where the sellers are like, I'm not selling to the UK, but I'll sell to the rest of Europe. So there's lots of options out there, including making your own dresses with sewing patterns. I've even made a dress myself out of a bed sheet. And I'm still working on one that I'm making out of a tablecloth. But that's a really good question. Anything else? Yeah, yours, Kirsten.
If someone was looking to get into sewing, where would you recommend looking for patterns?
Okay. For sewing, there is Simplicity and McCall's. You can get their patterns easily on Coscraft's website. And they have a few Lolita ones, but they sell really quickly. Because people use them and then alter them to be idol cosplays for like Cinderella Girls and Vocaloid. So they sell the quickest. But a lot of time as well, there are books called Otome no So. The only problem with those is you have to trace out the pattern, and if you're not Japanese size, you have to work out how much more you need to extend their pattern, which is a nightmare to try and do. But there's plenty of sewing options out there. So, any more questions? Yeah?
Is there any places to like completely avoid when trying to buy Lolita?
AliExpress. There is an infamous dress that is a fake copy from a brand called And Romeo that every Lolita around the world is like, don't buy from here. My mom, bless her soul, when I started, bought me one. And I only wear it when all my other dresses need to be washed. Because it's low quality, it'll fall apart. And if you go up to other Lolitas wearing it, we will tell from a mile if it's the real or the fake. Just because of the layering on it and how the stitching and the lace is. So it's very easy to spot a lot of fakes, but not so much when they're old fakes of dresses that aren't even made anymore. So sometimes it's like, do I or don't I? And some people even said, be careful with devil inspired. If you shop on there, mostly go when they have a sale on, to save on shipping. And if they have something from a brand, from a brand called Soufflé Song, avoid them because they will get the worst customer service. Whereas he said this, she said that. Because that's the dress nightmare I had. I bought a Snow White dress with Soufflé Song. It didn't match up to the quality or anything. And Soufflé Song were like, we don't make those. Demonspire make them in-house. I screenshotted the emails, sent them to Demonspire, I said, this is the 5th time. So I then eventually sold that dress, and this is the one my husband ordered for me in secret to save me from pulling my hair out. And it's one of my favorites. So any other questions? Yeah?
If price wasn't an object, I assume you get one from Japan. What prices do they go for in the big stores?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Do you want with or without tax? There's some dresses in Japan, me and my husband sold, that go for 25,000 yen without the tax removal. But Japan is currently thinking of, instead of just showing your passport to get the tax removed, you have to fill in a form before you can go in Japan. Because I've had people from China and Australia just go there, buy a load of things, get the tax off, take it home, then sell it at an increased stupid price online just to make a profit. Basically, it's like where you go on eBay and you find a lot of things from Primark that are up-priced.
Yeah.
People will do that with the fashion. So, any more questions?
Sorry, another one. Where did you get that parasol from?
That parasol I got from Bodyline. The same day I got the blouse. Well, me and my husband were in Japan with a tour group called Japan Journeys. As one of the days we had over there was in Harajuku. And the amazing thing is, if you suffer from anxiety, you won't have any problem. Because it's basically on Kashita Street, there's 5 stores. For Bodyline, once you see golden staircase railing, you just go straight to that. Up the stairs, and you're in Bodyline. And all you have to do when you're there is just indicate with your hand when you want to cross over. But when we went to Bodyline, they were having one of their spring sales, so things were reduced. And I had been hunting everywhere for a parasol. And I eventually got one while over there. But really good question. Any other questions?
Where did you get the bag from?
This bag I got from, while I was at MegaCon Birmingham, and it is an Ita bag.
Oh.
So one side is a gradient cherry blossom, and the other side is a window version. It has interchangeable straps, and I got it for £40 from a brand called Pingu. And I love this bag because even the zipper handles are little cherry blossoms. And it just goes so well with a lot of my dresses. Even when it's just plain white or black, it goes with everything. You just can't fit a lot in there. So, any other questions?
What type of sub styles do you wear? Like, what are your favourites? What type of sub styles do you wear? What are your favourites?
I mostly wear Sweet Lolita, as is lots of pinks and pastels. I have tried old school. And then my friend's like, it doesn't quite suit you because of the colors. Gothic, I look ill. But I did try full classic, whereas muted colors didn't really work. But then I was talking to Hanulu before I went to the Lolita event, and I said to him, what do you have that's a cross between classic and sweet? And they're like, oh, our romantic hydrangea series will work. And they're talking to them through Instagram when I arrived, they recognized me, like, we weren't able to save that size in the JSK in the color you wanted, but we were able to in the JSK. And that's how I got this dress. So a lot of time it helps if you're going to an event and you know one of the designers is going to be there, because you can ask them, would you be able to hold on to that size in this colorway for me? Because I don't think I'll suit the other colors. And 9 times out of 10 they'll say yes, but the other occasional ones they'll say no. So any more questions? Yes?
Are there differences with how you take care of your dresses or clothes or store them?
A lot of times when it comes to washing them, it comes down to the sort of fabric. Because there's somewhere you'll wash them and all the artwork will just bleed into each other. So in those cases, I tend to do what a lot of people in theater do, either using Febreze or 5 parts vodka to 3 parts water, and spray it where it's the most sweaty areas that I tend to get, just to get rid of any smell or mildew off them. Ones like this one where it's really firmly in the fabric itself, they are machine washable, and they will take a tumble drying. But it's always best to check your fabric by using a Q-tip with a little bit of warm water and dish soap. Just do a little test area that if it bleeds, it's an area you won't really notice. So you know, like, is this machine washable, or would it have to be Febreze or take it to a dry cleaner? But there are quite a few Lolitas who've done videos of this is how you can check, as well as if you can't afford a dry cleaner, here's a gentle way you can wash them by hand.
Thank you.
And for storage, I hang all of these on fuzzy hangers so they don't slip. But for transport, I'll fold them up neatly, put them in either a tote bag, into a vacuum seal bag where you just vacuum all the air out, or even put them in a thick plastic bag that I've gone from the shop Tokyo Toys, for whenever I'm traveling, and I even do that for cosplays as well, because it helps you know all your things are there, there's no risk of you could be like, where's this bit, I need it, so it'll be easy to find things. But that was a really good question. Well, thank you all for coming to my panel. Sorry it was a bit late due to technical difficulties, and thank you all for being so patient.